Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, the Ring of Fire as we call it, this massive section of the Pacific Ocean and the South Pacific is actually on fire with earthquakes. This just recently started several hours ago. We did have some big quakes down here in the South Pacific. This quake in particular, magnitude 5.5, depth 100 kilometers. However, there are some earthquakes that are getting much deeper, and I'm going to show you one of those right now. I may have to zoom in here a little bit, but there is some very serious unrest right now in the Ring of Fire. I know there was one of these earthquakes that was very deep. It might not be on this map anymore. There was an earthquake down around in this section that was almost 500 kilometers deep. It's not appearing on there now. There are earthquakes erupting everywhere in the Ring of Fire. There are some of them, like for instance down here in New Zealand. They're not showing up on this map. But ladies and gentlemen, we are getting rocked right now. As you can see, 3 hours ago, magnitude 4.3, Afghanistan 4.7, over here in the Middle East, and just a whole array of earthquakes right off of the coast of Greece and Turkey. We're going to go ahead and take a look at these because one of these earthquakes was very significant. This was a 6.7, very shallow, depth of only 10 kilometers. But as we look further into this, start looking at these earthquakes, this is a pretty big swarm. 4.7, 4.7, 4.1, 4.4, 4, 4.2, 4.3. Just a whole swarm of earthquakes in this region. We're going to move back over here to the United States, and we see swarms of earthquakes occurring all over the state of California. We have one considerable earthquake up here, almost a magnitude 3, Monroe, Washington. A 4.4 down in Mexico. Now this is what the USGS is recording. We're going to show you what's actually happening on the west coast of Mexico. Down here in Panama, magnitude 4.2. Small quake here in Hawaii, magnitude 2.25. I'm going to show you exactly what's happening here, and in my earlier report I did go over this. Now once again, we have a CME that has let loose from the sun. You're going to see it right there. Now if you remember last week, we had that major sunspot AR 2665. Well, it's back to life again, and it's moving around the back side of the sun. There's also a very heavy stream that came from this direction also, but this is a very powerful CME. That was a very powerful burst, and this will be affecting our planet in a matter of days. What is occurring right now is due to the solar wind coming from very large coronal holes in the sun that were Earth facing for the last several days. That is what is affecting our planet also. You know what? Before I leave this Soho, I wanted to show you folks something that I spotted on here that I thought was rather odd. Let me just see if I could stop it here real quick. I'm going to have to go back a few frames. Just bear with me. It's all a very unusual object. Oh, I might have passed it. I definitely want to show this to you. Very strange. It only appears in one 12-minute frame. I had it going so fast I missed it. Oh, there it was. This object right there. Very unusual. it only stays in one frame of 12 minutes. You say to yourself, well, what is that? Well, let's take a closer look. I have no idea what this object is. I don't know if that's a planet, a big spaceship of some kind, Jupiter, Saturn. I don't know what that object is. Really haven't checked on it, but I thought it was very unusual to see something like that only in one frame on this coronagraph. And as you can see, the size of it compared to the sun, kind of unusual. But anyways, if you're looking for it, it's on July 20th at midnight, a little past midnight, 2017. I don't know what that object is. Haven't really checked on it. It could be anything, but it's kind of unusual for it to only be there in one frame. Anyways, getting back to what's occurring, you can see this large coronal mass ejection. We're going to be feeling the stream from this probably within the next couple of days. The big problem is what is occurring on the sun. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this SDO image up, and we're going to get into some other data because the Earth right now is ringing like a bell, and there's no doubt about it. We're going to go ahead and just take a look at this 48-hour loop real quick on the SDO. And I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Once again, you know, we're having these occurrences on the sun. Massive coronal hole blending in with this coronal hole. This whole section right here is spewing this solar wind directly towards the Earth. There's a pretty good sized hole opening up right here. That is definitely going to be Earth facing. That's right about where the Earth sits, just slightly below the equator of the sun. You can see this whole entire area of the sun's corona dissipating. It's literally breaking up, which will release more of this energy from the sun. And all of that is directly Earth facing. We're right in the path of it, ladies and gentlemen. And, you know, it takes a couple of days for this to start reaching the Earth. But when you have situations like this, where you have these massive holes and then other holes forming as it's turning towards Earth, this will continue for days on end. As I'm looking at all of the data that's coming in, I mean, we're looking at possibly 5 to 7 days of extreme earthquake activity. Now we're going to take a look over here at what's happening on the European models. You can see right here all of Europe. Once again, big outbreaks of earthquakes down here in the Mediterranean, affecting Turkey, Greece, and southern Italy. No doubt about it. Let's take a look at their world map, see what they have going on there. Once again, you see this whole entire section, what they call the Ring of Fire. Now this encompasses this entire region of the Pacific and the South Pacific. A lot of activity. And these are not small quakes. These are high level 4s and 5s. Now, we're going to move over and see what's happening in Mexico. Now, once again, we're looking at the Mexican Seismology Office. This is over the course of the last 3 days. Run down here, magnitude 4.5, 4.6, 4.2, 4.2, 4.5. It just keeps going on and on and on. Now, you can see the uptick from mid-range magnitude 3s, how it progressed straight up into mid-range magnitude 4s. This is the section that we're looking at right here, right along the west coast of Mexico. Now, all of this activity is leading down into countries like Guatemala, and you'll definitely start to feel things down here in Honduras, El Salvador. All of these countries are going to start feeling the wake of these quakes. Now, we're going to take a look at some of the seismograms here in the United States. And you're going to find this very interesting because this is going to show you the latest activity that's happening across the U.S. If you just simply read the names up here, the Aleutian Islands, Alaska, here's New Mexico, Missouri, more of Alaska, Oregon, Florida, Texas, Massachusetts, both of these are Hawaii, South Dakota, Standing Stone, Pennsylvania. Folks, whenever you see a situation like this where you have every single seismogram showing the same anomaly, this is the increased pressure on the Earth. This is what's occurring. All of these seismograms, these devices are picking up this intense pressure. And this is what is happening. Here's Ohio, very erratic. Minnesota. All of the signatures are pretty close to the same time frame. Texas, Idaho, New York, Virginia, Oregon, Montana. I mean, this just goes all the way across the entire country. There's Lake Erie, Pennsylvania, more of Minnesota, more of Michigan. This is Hanford, Washington, the state. Hanford's where they had the big nuclear waste dump problem. Look at their seismogram. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near there. More from Texas, Colorado, Wisconsin, Kansas, Montana. More from Texas, New Hampshire. And there's Yellowstone. Let's take a look at Yellowstone. And this is all up-to-date information also, folks. So you can take a look right there. This came in actually on the 20th. This hasn't been updated yet. But you can see the massive amount of seismic activity at Yellowstone. And this is the Earth feeling the pressure from this solar wind as it comes in. Now, it's not only happening here in the United States. It's happening worldwide. And we're going to look at some of the global seismograms here. You can see Barbados, Panama, Grenada, the Turks and Caicos Islands, Cuba, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Honduras, Beijing, China, more from China, here's the Aleutian Islands in Alaska, Turkey, and here's Casey Station down in Antarctica. They're feeling something down there. There's Thailand, Australia, the Philippines, Ethiopia, Armenia, Germany, Mariana Islands. That's pretty erratic. Hockley, Texas, Solomon Islands, Afghanistan, Finland. That is pretty erratic right there. Norway, almost an identical signature. Two countries right next to each other. Kenya. More from Norway. Zambia. Chile. More from Chile. Russia. I could go on and on, folks. I mean, you're looking at it right there. Ecuador, Australia, Spain, the Galapagos Islands. More from Russia, New Guinea. Palmer Station in the Antarctic. They just keep going on and on. The signatures are all pretty close to the same. And that's dealing with the earthquake activity. Now moving on to something even more serious is the fact of the matter is we have 38 fully erupting volcanoes right now on this planet. 38. You're looking at them. This is a current up-to-date map. This is coming from volcanodiscovery.com. Great website. Tons of information on volcanoes and earthquakes around the world. But as you can see, folks, from one end of the world all the way around to the other end of the world, if you count them, there are 38 active volcanoes. You have one right down here. Let's not forget that one. 38 active volcanoes as of the 21st right now, and the time is a little after 8 a.m. Eastern time. The fact of the matter is, this is not going to get any better. That much is true. Just taking a look over here at the Ring of Fire, there you go. You have major disturbances all through this region. All of this earthquake activity here, as time progresses, you're going to see a push with all of this energy straight across the Pacific. You will see it impacting the west coast of the United States, Mexico, Central America, and also South America. One way or another, this energy is going to make its way directly across the Pacific Ocean in a course of several days. With everything that is actually coming in as far as the rest of this solar wind coming in from these massive corona holes on the sun, this is going to continue at least on a bare minimum 5 days. I would look more towards 7. And depending on what is going to come around here on the sun, that threat may increase even more. So we're going to go ahead and keep you all up to date with everything that is occurring. And ladies and gentlemen, right now preparation is basically all you can do. Don't be scared, be prepared. If you do live in any one of these regions where you have volcanic activity and you have major earthquake activity, please be prepared. You know, things may seem like they're calm, but they're really not. It's a false presence. If you live in these zones where you have earthquake activity, the chances are that this will impact you sooner or later over the course of the next 5 to 7 days. It does take some time for this solar wind to impact the Earth, and then all of these heavily charged particles making their way all the way through the Earth's crust, all the way down to the core, therefore heating the core, expanding our tectonic plates, and creating these earthquakes. Now, this was just what I was saying the other day. This large 1, 2, 3 punch right to the Earth. It's over and over and over again. And it's situations like this that lead to catastrophic failure of our tectonic plates. Sooner or later, the Earth is not going to be able to handle this much pressure, and it has to move. You all understand how these earthquakes occur. Let's just hope and pray that we don't see earthquakes over magnitude 6. However, just in the course of last week and yesterday, off the coast of Russia, off the coast of Turkey, 2 magnitude 6.7s. And all of these earthquakes, the majority of them are relatively shallow. Now, I feel as the more and more of these heavily charged particles penetrate deeper and deeper and deeper into the Earth, the possibilities of deeper, stronger earthquakes, well, that's reality. So keep in mind, make sure you have a preparedness plan set up if you do live in these active zones. Be prepared. Do not be scared. We'll keep an update as much as possible as the information comes in. And we're going to have a live stream report with the physicist later on this morning. We hope that all of you join us. This is Scott from Planet X News and the Nibiru channel. Thank you for watching.